Hello, good night. I just want to, we're really excited because we're going to be starting our series of Junkyard, podcasts. And we're going to be bringing a series of episodes of different topics that, you will hear in conversations when you're with your friends, when you're hanging out, when you're in events. And they're interested of everyone, and it affects us in our daily lives. So, today, on our first episode in our first season, we're going to be talking about the costs of eating out. But with before that, I'm going to make sure that we introduce ourselves. I'm Dio Palencia, and then I have my great co-host. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Geneva Mercado. So happy to be here. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing too, obviously we want to make sure that we mention our sponsors today. So, do you want to do the honors and mention, this segment,
Yeah.
who our sponsor is for today?
Yes. So we are sponsored by Pepe's Red Tacos, a family owned business based out of LA. Happens to be my business. So we are sponsoring the episode.
Yeah, and it's an incredible food. So thank you for sponsoring the first episode. And I
Yeah.
highly recommend, to make sure you go eat there. The food is incredible. You really have to go and taste the food. And it's, it,
Yeah. You could follow us. Yeah. Follow us at Pepe's Red Tacos on Instagram, Facebook, but who uses Facebook anymore? So don't even bother with Facebook.
yeah, TikTok, all the social media. So, so
Yeah,
with that, so with
exactly.
that said, I mean, let's go right into subject. So we're going to be talking about the cost of eating out. It's really, it has gotten really expensive. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just incredible. Like the other day, I just went for breakfast and I went to McDonald's and I got a steak cheese bagel meal with hash browns and a coffee. And then out of the menu meal, I got the sausage McMuffin because, they really sell you like cookies. It's no longer a muffin. It's really small. And,
Yeah.
and
It's a
yeah,
snack.
soy un poquito tragón. So I did order a little bit more a- and it was 1998 with taxes and everything. And then
Dang.
the other day I went to Starbucks and I got a café americano grande
Mhm.
with the bacon sausage egg wrap, which is really a burrito, but I don't know why they call it wrap. And it was
Yeah.
big and with banana walnut pecan loaf bread. And it was only 14.65 with taxes. So McDonald's now is more
Wow.
expensive. And, and not only that, to give you another example, I went for lunch. I went to get a double quarter pounder with French fries and a medium Coke. And then I got a second meal for for a coworker and it was 26.48. And then
Wow, that's
we went
crazy.
to Applebee's and they had a special of 9.99 soda and fries and we spent 23.98. So it, it's
Wow.
just ridiculous that in the past, going to fast food restaurants, it was way much more cheaper than going to a restaurant or going to a Starbucks. But now it's just the cost of living is just
Yeah.
so expensive that is making really difficult for everyone to, just to go out with their family.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's crazy that at Applebee's now you could get a better deal than at McDonald's, where initially, like, you would think McDonald's, you thought value, you thought like, I'm going to get some good food for, cheap price. And now it's not the case. Now you're getting barely any food because they don't even like their meat is like a little sliver of beef. It's not even like an actual patty anymore. Whereas I'm sure at Applebee's, you got a burger and it's probably like an actual solid, good sized burger, not the little thing that you get at McDonald's anymore. It's like they're giving away just snacks now at McDonald's. It's not even actual meals.
Yeah, no, that is true. And then to add more to Applebee's, it's not only their burger meals, but I mean, their drinks, their appetizers. I don't know if you've been there lately,
Yeah.
but their appetizers are really great, especially the ones that with the pretzel
Yeah.
bread and that you, dip them into the cheese and the wings. And then you get the fry rolls and then you get a cold one and then it's,
You're
yes,
set.
you're in heaven. Yes.
But see, I feel like there, even if you were to spend the same amount there versus McDonald's, I feel like you're gonna feel better about spending it at Applebee's because okay, I'm coming to a restaurant, like I'm gonna get my money's worth. Where drive-through, you think like, okay, well, this is gonna be cheap, cheap and quick.
Hmm.
Like that's what this is gonna be. And it's not. It's like barely quick. I mean, it's all
Hmm.
just pressed out, and they don't even really make anything fresh anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Whereas Applebee's, I'm sure you're still gonna get fresh food, so your value is just better off there.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
No, no, no. You're right on the money. And not only that is that it is, if you buy the food, even with tipping, like if your bill is $20, you go lunchtime, $20
Yeah,
and 20%, that's about $22. So it's still with tipping
yeah,
20%. It is cheaper than
yeah,
going to McDonald's now. It's just crazy. It just, to me,
yeah,
it's
it's
just,
crazy.
and
Yeah,
then obviously I'm talking about Bay Area prices, in other areas in the country, the price is going to be different. Probably McDonald's might be cheaper, but in the Bay Area,
yeah,
it, it's just, we're backwards now.
yeah.
It's just everything's upside
Oh,
down.
yeah, I mean, we're yeah.
Yeah.
And in LA, it's the same thing. I find myself having to like, like, okay, where could I get? And it's usually a restaurant or it's like a mom and pop type of drive-through place where I would rather go to a mom and pop fast food place and get a burger and fries than go to McDonald's because if you get a burger, even if you get a junior burger,
Hmm.
right? Like a kid's meal junior burger, the junior burger is still going to be way bigger. You buy one of those, you get a kid's a Happy
Hmm.
Meal cheeseburger. That junior burger is gonna be like triple the size,
Yes.
and you get more value and it's probably the same price.
Yes.
So I catch myself doing that all the time. And even like my kids, they're constantly like, okay, well, can we go to McDonald's? And I have to like legit ask them, I'm like, do you really like the flavor? Or is it just, the marketing that gets them? And they're like, well, I want the toy. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Dollar Tree, get a bag full of dollar toys, and throw one in the bag when I take you to like a random drive through place. And then she's like, well, then just give me the bag of toys. And I'm like, okay, you're missing the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I catch myself having to do that a lot, or like go to a place where I know I could get one nice big, like meal, like a fajitas platter, and then I know I could split that, three ways with me and my two little kids, and I'm like, cool, I spent $24 and fed three people, as opposed to going to McDonald's $24 and feeding maybe two people.
Yeah. No, no, definitely. I think the prices are a little bit, it's just crazy, and not only the prices are expensive, but also is that
Yeah,
it affects, your health, because there's something called social determinants of health. So if you can't afford to have healthy
yeah.
meals, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to affect the cost of living is going to cost you to
Oh,
eat something healthy,
totally.
and not make the right
Yeah,
decision. So, um,
yeah,
but I think that's super important, having affordable foods for everyone and making sure that they have
yeah.
the opportunity to buy the food that they need to eat healthier at home too, as well, not only outside. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is a perfect segue for, us getting into the actual episode. It's like, the negative effects of fast food and especially like over processed fast food like a lot of the chains,
Hmm.
especially McDonald's, where I'm sure everybody has seen those videos where you leave a cheeseburger out and it literally will probably, make it until, 1,000 years from now and still never get a piece of mold on it, which is really, really
Yeah.
scary. Cause I've made like I'll make cookies like with my kids, like all fresh ingredients, and they don't last like even in the freezer, it doesn't last more than 3 months. Like fresh raw cookie dough will rot after 3 months in the freezer. And that's, obviously with no preservatives and
Hmm.
stuff, which makes me think like, oh my God, if this cheeseburger already cooked is lasting God knows how long
Hmm.
outside where air hits it and, and it's lasting forever, like that's freaking scary.
Yeah, no, no. And, and just to add to your point, another example is orange juice. If you make orange juice at home, even if you put it in the fridge,
Yeah.
after a week, it just goes bad. And the one that you buy from the
Yeah.
store, it's scary. It could last 3 months and still taste good, but all that added sugar
Yeah. Oh shit.
and preservatives and unnatural ingredients is just making you unhealthy,
Yeah.
and it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
yeah. So, I think, it's not only affecting that, but it also, I think the other part that the cost of living is affecting is not only at a family level, but also at a culturally cost, because then probably people
Hmm.
can't afford the meals that they traditionally used to do, like tamales, or a pavo and mole, or the traditional Thanksgiving meal, anything that is elaborate, that
Yeah.
that has a lot of ingredients, and that you have to buy a lot of things, and you have to segment into much more simple plates like flautas, or like a hamburger, or like a soup. And and
Hmm.
that affects some of the cultural costs, but also the traditions. And then you start, some of those comfort foods start fading away for something that is more simple, that in the past, when food was more affordable, it was seen as like a fast food, or like a quick snack or appetizer. Now it's substituting the actual more elaborated meal, because it's just, things are getting out of control, and just the expense is just going
Yeah.
crazy. And it's really affecting us. And I think also the political climate, it doesn't help, and you've seen it, right? When you buy stuff.
Yeah. For sure. For sure, yeah, I know, and I often wonder, I'm like, "Man, how would my grandma who had, 10 kids, yeah, how would that, like, how would they be able to survive when it's like, my grandma never went to fast food restaurants, she was all like just cooking everything at home, living off of, one household income. Like that's not possible anymore.
Hmm.
That's like in no way is that possible, which is why, again, fast food ends up being the convenient choice because it's, you can get cheaper and then you're getting full on all the carby
Hmm.
stuff, like you said, right? It's like, well, yeah, on a cheeseburger meal, like really, it's all a bunch of carbs and only like a few grams of protein, which is not going to keep you full long. So then you're just going to have to like eat quicker as opposed to like the meals that used to be cooked at home. It's all protein, all fresh vegetables and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel myself whenever we go to the grocery store, I feel like I can't get out of the grocery store without at least spending $300. And that's like on basic stuff. Like it's not even like, oh, I'm, buying like liquor and all these other fancy things and a vacuum cleaner and, things that end up in your cart at Costco. It's just the basics. It's
Hmm.
like the bare necessities. And the next trip you go to, you're like, damn it, I thought I was going to be good and I didn't have to spend $300 anymore. But here I am paying and I'm like, "Oh my god, how is this possible?"
Yeah. And then the other thing too is that everywhere you go, they're asking you for tips for things that you're not supposed to tip.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Anywhere you go, you buy a water at a gas station and some snacks, and they're asking you for a tip.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
know.
think
It's
about
like,
that?
"No, I'm good." They should have like a tip where it says other, but you could like write instead of putting in a number, you could just write your advice, like stay in school or that way you're giving verbal tips and not monetary tips. But yeah, I'm always like if they're not, providing a service for me where like I'm the one coming to you, I'm the one doing all the work and like you're just standing there like pushing a button. There's no reason for me to tip you. If anything, you should tip me for bringing my service to you.
Yeah, no, no. There's
But yeah.
there's some restaurants in the Bay Area that they're opening. They were kind of like Sonoma Kitchen. I don't know if you remember Sonoma Kitchen.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
you go there, you order the food, they call your name, and then you pick up the food, and then you have to take your own food where you are sitting, and then when you're done, you need to clean up, and they're asking you for tips. It's like, really? Do you want me to
Yeah.
go clean the bathrooms too, or
Like for
or
what?
take out the garbage?
Yeah, right?
You know?
I know, seriously. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know. Like that's another reason why the cost of eating out. I mean, look at the like delivery apps, the Grubhub and all that. That stuff is so expensive. Like crazy expensive how you order something you're like, "Oh, okay, this should be $12," and it ends up like tripling the price because of all the tips and surcharges and all the other whatever made up fees that they add that Grubhub or all the delivery apps add. And it's like I should have just got my lazy ass up and went to go get the food myself and saved myself 20 bucks.
Yeah, no, no, it's true. And the crazy part is that the drivers that are delivering the food are not making the money, and they're using the car insurance, and it's just like
Yeah.
they're getting like 5, $6 for each ride, for each delivery, and it's just like that's not enough money, and it's taking
Yeah.
them anywhere from
Yeah.
15 to 30 minutes. So they're actually losing money. They're not making anything. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in the long run, like you said, with the cost of the vehicle, the maintenance, all of that. It's like, you can't even, I think when you even sell the car, you have to say whether it was used for like delivery services of any kind, just so that the people know, what kind of car they're getting, which I mean, I don't know, it's just all around, it's crazy. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We should all just stay at home and just keep eating, keep eating fresh food.
Yeah. No, and I think also the tariffs are affecting a lot because we import a lot of the food, and that is just
Yeah.
making things more expensive. And the
Yeah.
current administration doesn't understand that the exporters and the importers don't pay that. We're the ones that actually are paying the price every time we buy the stuff. They don't lose money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I think they know. They're just pretending not to know. Because if they acknowledge that they know and they're doing it anyway, then that makes them look like a bad person. But if they pretend to like, no, that's not what's happening, it's easier for them to get away with it. But they know. It's impossible that they don't know, So it's like it's just their cover up. But yeah, I mean even buying, like the cost of meat at meat markets is insane. It's crazy. Like it's I remember during COVID, I think like a pound of meat, like beef was up to like $25 a pound, which was
Yeah.
crazy. And then it like slowly went down. And I think even now it's still like $16 a pound or something. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that it costs that much. I mean, yes, it's still cheaper than eating
Hmm.
out, right? Because you're going to get a pound of
Yeah.
meat as opposed to, 4 ounces of meat. But it's still an insane amount. And it's just, the sad part is that you end up thinking, okay, well, then I guess I'll just buy it at the carniceria because that's
Hmm.
cheaper, even though it's still really expensive. But it's like, okay, well, the lesser of the two evils, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, but you brought out a good point. During the pandemic, it was crazy. I mean, there was a shortage of everything,
Yeah.
and I remember one time I went to Costco to get food, and I'm not exaggerating. I felt I was in an episode of The Walking Dead when people start
For sure.
running away from the zombies because they were fighting for, for food, for basic items. And I was just like, should I get a bat or something in case a zombie jumps out? And then I just be, because the way people were
Yeah.
behaving,
Yeah, dude,
it's
seriously.
just, it's crazy. And I think after the pandemic, it was still recovering from that. I think it did affect everything.
For sure.
And then the orange guy is just making things even worse. It's just
Yeah.
self-inflicting wound and to the economy pretty much, with the cost of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, during the pandemic, a lot of the essential businesses, which a lot of them were food trucks, they were thriving. They were thriving because they were the only businesses that were out there. And but again, here comes the delivery apps, you know, like letting their horns show. They're like, oh, okay, cool. So like now we could tax the food trucks and they taxed us big time. But what are we gonna do? No one's coming, so we have to use their
Hmm.
services. We can't deliver to everybody. So, it makes for a terrible cycle of like, okay, well, at that point, who's gonna pay the price of the delivery? The food truck or the consumer, and it's like, okay, well, the consumer has to pay again, just kind of like a tariff,
Hmm.
right? It's like, well, the business isn't going to pay the tariff or the tax. It's the consumer that has to pay
Hmm.
it. But the fact that these businesses were setting such a high, like unreasonable amount, knowing that, like, well, you're going to pay it because you have no other choice. I think that's where greed makes it all
Hmm.
worse. It's like if everybody could just chill out and like level out a little bit and stop trying to like one up each other on tariffs and taxes and prices, it's like, we could get, I think, back to some sort of normalcy where you could get good quality food for a good price. But I mean, I think ultimately it's going to be the death of a lot of big chain fast food restaurants, and I think McDonald's is probably gonna be one of them.
Yes.
Because not one person do I hear that's like, "Oh, yeah, I still love McDonald's, like, it tastes good." Like, no one I have never met anyone that says, like, "Yeah," they might say that about the fries, but it's like, okay, the fries I don't think are gonna help McDonald's survive, you
Yeah.
know?
No, no. And not only that is I also think the, the taste and the preference of food is changing in the country. And a good part, it has to do with,
Yeah.
uh, the, the generations that are coming after us, and then the increase of the Latino population.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
20 years ago, you will
Yeah.
ask anyone in the country which one is your favorite food, and almost 100% of people will say Italian food. Now you ask everyone, and it surprised me today that they say Mexican. It's just, and especially
Yeah.
people that are under 30 years of age,
Mhm.
regardless of their background. And even
Yeah.
the majority of them are Latinos in certain areas. But even in places like Nebraska, Minnesota, places where just the population the majority is white, and their favorite food is Mexican food.
Yeah.
It's just, even that is
Yeah.
changing in the country. And some of those chains that don't adapt, you're right. They have the potential to disappear. And a good example, it's um, I know we're talking about food, but just to give an illustration, like, Blockbuster, they didn't adapt to streaming.
Mhm.
Netflix came and took
Yeah.
them out. So what McDonald's and a lot of these chains need to really, make modifications in their menu, because if they don't, or lower the prices, make them affordable again. Um, it's just
Yeah.
they're in the high risk of disappearing or reducing their business and their market share.
Yeah. Yeah, and you would think someone, with as much power and resources as McDonald's, they would legit be the cheapest one with, like best quality and more bang for your buck because I mean they produce so much of their own food, I can't imagine that they go to the regular farmers and like get tomatoes from there and get
Hmm.
lettuce from there. Like I'm sure they have all of these resources set only for them. So it's like really they could be the
Hmm.
ones that would be able to make that type of change and like really provide a good quality meal, cheap prices and satisfy the customer that they know is their loyal customer, which is the one that's coming in looking for a cheap
Hmm.
meal, but still good,
Hmm.
But I mean, again, it all comes down to greed, and greed will ultimately be the one that I think kills them in the end. I mean, because it's like you can't compare to something like that to like even a grocery store like a Vallarta or somewhere where you could go in, get a full family meal for 30 bucks and you're getting like 2 pounds of meat, some
Hmm.
tortillas, some beans, some rice, onion, cilantro. I mean, you're getting a full meal and you're getting everything separate so you could put it together however you want.
Hmm.
It's like you're gonna make tacos today if there's leftovers. Well, guess what? You're having machaca for breakfast because we're using those same carnitas, for breakfast the next
Yeah.
morning. Whereas again, you go to one of these fast food
Hmm.
places and you get what you get and that's it. And if you try to take it apart, you're like, that's all I paid for. I just paid for a bunch of bread and French fries.
No, no, you're right. It's just that it is way cheaper, these days. But the funny
Yeah.
part is that a lot of these chains like McDonald's, Burger King, when they go to other countries, they do adapt, and it's like why they cannot do the same in the U.S.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have eating in a McDonald's in Mexico, their burgers are different and bigger.
It's been a long
Yeah,
time since I have. Oh, really?
yeah,
I think they just think we're suckers.
yeah, and you know,
you
and
know? I think they realize that we're
well, the
suckers.
crazy part is that even some of their burgers have jalapenos, and it's just like okay, and then they give you a little bit of salsa that way you can put it, and it's just like, well, this looks more like
Yeah.
hamburger from the street in Mexico, than a McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
don't get me wrong, they
Yeah.
have the some of the traditional options that you will find here, and it's more just for the tourists when they go there,
Yeah.
but it's just for the locals. I found it interesting. The locals that go to McDonald's, they always order the one with
Yeah.
the jalapenos or the salsa, but even in
Yeah.
there, they cannot compete with the tacos in Mexico, because they're so cheap
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and the street food in Mexico is just way better than anything than the American chains will
Yeah.
offer, honestly. But it's something that always
Yeah.
hasn't, you know, questioned myself. It's like why they cannot do the same thing in the US, if they're doing it in a country
Yeah.
where their food really sucks comparing to the local food that is way much more better, much more affordable, much more organic. They're able to offer a better product
Yeah.
at a cheaper price with all the competition versus here in the US,
Mhm.
less competition, more monopolies,
Yeah.
and you cannot make any modifications just to make it better for the client. So that I think it's just really
Mhm.
affecting everyone's pocket,
Yeah.
and then they're reducing the size of the burgers. Now they look like cookies. You know,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
they're really
Yeah,
small.
yeah, which I think is, one of the big reasons why a lot of people end up going to like food truck like marts and like those events where they have a bunch of food trucks. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe you're still gonna spend $15 on a meal, but it's gonna be a bigger meal than a fast food place. I mean, because again, at the end of the day, the price of food everywhere, produce even for the business owner is going up. So it's like you can only be so cheap, on your prices, but also keep in mind that you're getting fresh
Hmm.
quality. These food truck owners don't have massive storages where they can buy, 100 pounds of meat and store it for 2 months and then eventually use
Hmm.
it. It's like they're all just gonna make everything as it comes, and they're gonna buy on a daily basis, which means that they're gonna end up having a lot of their produce is gonna be
Hmm.
fresh. So really you're getting like the fresher option at a lot of these mom and pop places because they don't have the storage to store all these, if they were to buy a bunch of cases of food, they don't have anywhere to store it. So you're going to be better off there. Like, yeah, you're still paying that high ticket price, but I mean, it's hard to go anywhere anymore where food is less than $10 for one
Hmm.
person, regardless where you go. And at least some food trucks try to have like little $5 meals and, $10 meals. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're not going to get a full blown platter, but at least you'll get something that fits within your budget. And, they're like more willing to help, I feel like, versus a regular, chain restaurant. Those are all just employees and they could care less. They're like, okay, do you want it or not? Because it doesn't matter to me whether you take it or not, but you go to a food truck, you got an owner there working, they're gonna be more willing to work with you, be like, okay, I'll hook you up, I got you. Don't worry about it. You don't have that extra dollar. All right, you're a loyal customer. I see you every day. Just give it to me next time you
Hmm.
come. So that you have the benefit of that customer service, that relationship that a lot of the fast food chains don't have at all. And probably, the employees there are like, yeah, so what? You come every week. Like, and
Yeah, sure. It's true. Yeah. And what is your take on the some of the ingredients that are put in some of the foods that we buy from the big chains, or even foods that we can put in the microwave, and some of the cereals? I mean, what is your take on there?
oh my gosh, yeah. Oh God, don't even get me started on like sugary snacks. That is just like one of the reasons why I started making or trying to make sweets at home, because it's like, okay, sugar isn't bad. Sugar is bad when you add it with a bunch of preservatives and oils and things that shouldn't be mixed with sugar. It's like sugar by itself isn't bad in moderation. There's also different types of sugar now that you can get, like coconut sugar and, healthier versions for people who have, diabetes or, high blood pressure. There's so many things that could help you out. So it's not even like sugar that is bad for you. It's when you mix all of the oils and sugar and preservatives, that stuff ends up just, staying in your body way longer than it should. And that's where all of those sugary cereals and all the stuff that's like really cheap, which is sad because, again, we're talking about the cost of food. So you go to a grocery store and you're in a cereal aisle and you're like, well, I don't know what's the cheapest. And you look at the ingredients and it's like barely cereal. It's more like chemical this, chemical that, chemical this, sunflower oil, that oil, chemical, red dye 40, and wheat for the actual cereal, like way at the end, So it's like, okay, well, this is no longer cereal. This is just chemicals pretending to be a cereal. But it's the cheapest option. So again, it leads to the same question. It's like, yes, you want to go for the cheaper option, but sometimes the cheaper option isn't the best, which is such a like a bad cycle that we live in because you have to read the labels. I learned to read labels, and like since reading the labels on everything, it's crazy the amount of stuff that I'm like, "Oh my god, I used to eat that." Like now I could, I buy a certain something and I'm like, "Oh, I could feel the like sunflower oil, the this oil,
Hmm.
the canola oil." It's like, "Why is canola oil even in this ingredient?" Like, this is not even anything that should have oil
Hmm.
in it. It's like, but I see why they add it because then you taste the product, like peanut butter. I feel like that's a easy one. You get a peanut butter that doesn't have any oils. Oh, okay, I see. It doesn't feel as smooth and like as textury, in your mouth. It's a little bit more rough and dry, but you try the one with the oil and it's like, okay, and now I see why people like the one with all of the terrible
Hmm.
oils because it gives it a better
Hmm.
consistency. But that's not good.
Hmm.
So and then who knows what ingredients these fast food chains put in their meals or in their food. I don't even wanna know. I heard or I read somewhere a long time ago that Subway bread isn't even considered, or their bread is technically considered a pastry because of the amount of sugar that their bread has in it. So it's not even like an actual, like you wouldn't, if they sold it in the stores, it wouldn't be in the bread aisle. It would have to be in the
Hmm.
bakery goods section because of the amount of sugar. And I mean, like I was like blown away by that. I'm like, really? But it's just bread. And it's not even like that good bread, but it's just the amount of sugar that makes it, I don't know, addictive maybe. So that like just made me start thinking of like, oh my God, what are all of these other fast
Hmm.
food places putting in their, food that they're not. I mean, every burger doesn't come with a
Hmm.
nutrition label. Whereas stuff at the grocery store, you could take your time and read it. But it's just like, I'm pretty sure they're taking the cheap way out and putting a bunch of terrible ingredients in their food.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now that you're talking about sugar, even Coca-Cola and homemade lemonade, do you know the difference of the amount of sugar? A Coca-Cola,
Oh my God,
the
no, but
Coca-Cola has 30, a 20
uh-huh.
ounce can of, no, not even the 20 ounce, the 16 ounce, the regular can that you buy
Uh-huh.
at the store or at
Yeah.
7-Eleven. It has 39 grams. That is more than 12 spoons of sugar.
Oh,
And when you get a lemonade in almost 3/4 of a liter, so a little bit more than 20
uh-huh.
ounces, when you get one of those big
Oh
glasses
my
that
God.
your grandma used to make or your mom, and you put a lemon that is really
Yeah.
acid, the most sugar that you're going to put is going to be between 2 to 3 spoons of sugar with a lot of ice.
No way.
So
Wow.
and then it's still sweet. When you taste it, it's like, oh, okay, it's a lemonade. So, and you're getting vitamin C, and you're getting less sugar. So definitely like a homemade
Yeah.
lemonade is going to be way much more healthier and even cheaper than getting a Coca-Cola that is going to have more than 12 spoons of sugar. So,
Wow.
so
I mean, it's not
yeah.
surprising.
And so that's why a lot of people do when they're eating, like for example, tacos, they want an agua fresca because they know even if it's an horchata that has condensated milk, and sugar, it's probably going to have less sugar than a soda. And
Yeah.
that's probably the agua fresca that it has the most sugar, because then when you start like getting agua de tamarindo or jamaica or any other type of fruit, the amount of sugar is way less because sometimes the fruit is already sweet, so you don't need to add
Yeah.
anything. And the other crazy part is that, actually Coca-Cola is one of the sodas that has less sugar than a Fanta or than the other type of sodas.
No way.
Yes. Sometimes they have
Oh my
between
God,
three,
that's
sometimes they have
crazy.
between 3 to 4, or even sometimes 6 grams more of sugar. So that's a crazy part that a lot of
Wow,
people
that
think is,
is.
oh, this is really unhealthy.
Yeah.
But when you start reading the label, and it's like, wait a minute, these ones have way
Yeah.
much more sugar than you know,
Mhm.
than the drink that I thought it was the worst. So, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the other part too is that a lot of the foods are that we eat here are engineered. They have a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, and a lot of these food are banned in Europe or in other countries, even in Mexico. Some of the foods have to be modified to be sold over there. And so,
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
and
They even have like certain labels. I've seen in Mexico and in Europe. that it says like this has high sugar amount, like this has like it tells you on the label like what it is. I've even seen that there's stores, I don't think here, but probably somewhere like in Europe where it's like a grocery store, but they cover any characters like with a label. They'll cover characters. So like if a bag of chips has like Mickey Mouse on it, they'll cover the face of Mickey Mouse so that kids cannot be tempted to buy that snack simply because it has the Mickey Mouse character
Hmm.
on it. And I was like, yeah, that's really smart because obviously, you go through like a grocery store with your kids and it's all the colorful things. I want, they're not reading anything. They're just looking at what's the most colorful, what looks fun. And those are usually the worst ones. And if it has a character, more of a reason that they want
Yeah.
it. And it's like, and it's hard because the healthy stuff, it's like, okay, well, they're like, but that looks boring, It's like, but it's good for you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. So yeah, but that's the other crazy part, that a lot of the food that we consume and they're being sold by these corporations, they're banned in Europe or in
Yeah.
Canada and other parts. And if they sell it in
Hmm.
those markets, they have to change the ingredients to more natural. Like all the American breads that we eat, you cannot sell them in Europe.
Hmm.
And the
Wow.
crazy part, that Bimbo, that owns a lot of the bakeries here in the US,
Huh?
can sell its products in Europe because they have less bad ingredients than the own bakeries in the US. So that's a crazy part. And
Wow.
that is probably why in Europe they can eat all the bread, all the cheese that they want to, and they don't get any weight, and all the pasta, because they don't have the gluten and the other ingredients that are really bad for your health.
Yes, yeah. So it's funny you say that because my husband started making sourdough bread. And because we came across, like a few videos that it's like eating bread isn't bad. Eating heavily processed bread is
Hmm.
bad because you're not eating bread anymore. You're eating all the processed stuff. And watching him make sourdough bread and the ingredients that go into making a loaf of bread, I'm like, really? It only takes, like 4 ingredients? But when you look at the back label of a loaf of bread, it's got like 50. And I'm like, well, what's all the other 50 for? you know? But it's just a bunch of preservatives and
Yeah.
oil, which I get it. You need preservatives to make it, shelf stable. But also it's like, will we as you know, a community. I don't know if it'll happen. Like maybe it'll be a community based decision that we all decide. Like, will everyone just say, like, I'm going to stop buying, those loaves of
Hmm.
bread and I'm going to find a local baker who will sell me, a loaf of
Hmm.
bread? Because, yeah, it might be a dollar or two more, but, what you're gaining is, health benefits instead of, losing your benefits and saving money.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, you pay a dollar or two more, but you know that you're getting a good quality product that's not, you don't have to feel guilty about eating it
Hmm.
all the time. I feel like maybe the younger generations, they're already doing it with alcohol. There's all of these like no alcohol bars out here in LA, where the younger generations have realized that alcohol is terrible for you. And they're like, no, we don't want to drink it. So many restaurants and bars are losing business because, young adults are not going in there getting, hammered
Yeah.
by drinking alcohol. They're going in and just ordering, a mineral water, and they're trying to figure out what to do. So I feel like that's the first step, and maybe, the next step is going to be all these high processed foods where eventually someone's going to create some sort of a new system that says like, nah, we don't want that, we don't want that for ourselves. Sadly, their parents and maybe even grandparents are going to be, maybe our generation, it's like a bunch of people that are dying of cancer because of all of these heavily processed foods and hormones in the chicken and all the crazy stuff that we're finding out that we're like, wait, but we grew up with, warming things up in plastic containers. Like, what does that mean for me? Like, am I gonna eventually turn out that, like, oh, I have cancer because of things that I was exposed to as a child that our parents didn't know any better? So it's like, I wonder if the shift will also happen with that younger generation where they're gonna be like, nope, we're going back to the days of making your own food and, not putting a bunch of preservatives in them.
Yeah, no, no, and that is a really good point, and to the point that a lot of the new generations, they're not going even to nightclubs now. So they're in the, and you're seeing a lot
Yeah.
into the country. So what they're doing is that they're going during the day because they're realizing,
Mhm.
I want my 8 hours of sleep. I don't want to go out, be until 3,
Yeah.
4 a.m. in the morning and not getting quality sleep.
Yeah.
And what they're doing now is like between
Yeah.
5 p.m. and 9 p.m., there's these coffee places that have music and they hang out there.
Yeah.
And that's the new nightclub. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a coffee
Yeah.
place that sells coffee and pastries and sandwiches, and there's a DJ and people are just dancing and talking. It's just like, but it's during the
Yeah.
day.
Which, I mean, yeah, why didn't I have that idea? Why, it's like, why were we, going out till 2, 3 in the morning, making life worse for ourselves? It's like, yeah, actually do that. Be the smarter person. Be the smarter generation that, values health and mental wellness and, all the good things for you. And you'll end up, you know, living a great life. And, hopefully things will change even, from a political aspect. I mean, I think once they start seeing that, like, they can change society and change things for themselves and their community, I feel like that's where they're going to be like, oh yeah, we don't have to put up with it just because our parents said that this is what we should eat or what we should do. So yeah, it'll be interesting for sure to see that shift.
Yeah, no, and I see in that, and and this conversation is really good. So this brings us to to our next segment, which is um the practical strategies these days that a lot of these new generations and even ourselves preparing more meals
Yeah.
at home and just eating more as
Mhm.
family on the weekend. So do you have any strategies on how do you do that or any tips that everyone can follow or
Yeah, I mean, we try to do stuff on Sundays, like grill extra meats on Sundays. Soups are always good. I'm Mexican, so we have soup even like on the hottest days. Like, my mom and I always joke
oh
that
yeah,
like all
menudo,
winter we
pozole.
didn't think of making a soup. Yeah, and then like the first hottest day of spring or summer, we're like, "Ooh, we should make albóndigas." Like why we didn't have that thought in the winter time, I don't
Yeah.
know, but soups are always good. Like my grandma always said, le echas agua a los frijoles, it's like you got beans, you don't have enough, well just add some water, add some, some more seasonings and they'll last you another day or two. So it's just that being,
Hmm.
just knowing what you have, what you could work with and just trying to figure it out, but again, it's like buying food at the, market, buying your protein there or at Costco
Hmm.
even, and then freeze it. We have a freezer that
Hmm.
is specifically just for, the meats that you buy at Costco because you got to buy it in such a big bulk and we don't go through it all.
Hmm.
So it's like, all right, put half of it in the freezer, half of it in the fridge, and you're good to go. And, you don't have to buy that same meat for another maybe 2 weeks. So I think that's my best advice.
Yeah. No, no, no. And that's great. I mean, I think, as a society and we need to do it more. I mean, cause you just brought some memories, my grandmother used to make frijoles de loya because I'm Mexican too.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she did is that she will give you like a big plate, but in the plate
Mm-hmm.
she will, put in the top as toppings, like small slices of tomato, onions, cilantro, and then queso fresco,
Yeah.
crema, and then the salsa roja. So it was not only just frijoles de loya. It was just like it was something simple, but she turned it into a really fancy meal. And then on the side, she will put slices of avocado just to put it if you wanted to put an avocado. So it just ended up being a really healthy
Hmm.
meal that it was really good, really simple.
Yeah.
And you were getting plant-based protein. You were not eating meat, but you were getting protein because the beans. All Latinos we eat beans, and a lot of people don't realize is that beans are actually um, non-animal protein for you, and it's really good for you. Uh, okay. And so I think one of the things that we can tell the audience is really to start doing more home meals, like Sunday prep, kind of like what our parents used to do on on preparing the meals for the entire week, making aguas frescas for the entire week, and making sure that just eating more healthy and really taking care of ourselves and just being more proactive when it comes to our health. So okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this brings us to the closing of our first episode. So is really the advice here is not everything is about eating out, even though when you go eat out is really cool to go with your family, with your friends. But sometimes some of the best meals and some of the best memories is when you have cook homemade home at home with your family and friends and you have a gathering at home. So just cook more, prepare more at home, be powerful when it comes to your wellness, when taking care of yourself and being strong, not only for you, but for your family and for your community. And the most important thing is not losing control of your comfort foods and things that are traditional to you and make sure that you eat those. So with that, I just want to thank our sponsors. And I want to thank you for being in our first episode. We have a lot of things prepared for you and different topics, and we're going to be inviting more people. There's going to be more hosts, and we're just going to make a series of conversations that are going to be important for you and that you're going to enjoy. So thank you for being here tonight. And yeah, yeah, and in Geneva, she unfortunately her phone died. So, but she'll be back. I promise. We're gonna be doing more of this. You're gonna be seeing us, both of us. But in behalf of her and myself and our producer too, Fermin. So thank you so much for being here. Uh, stay curious and never stop learning. Thank you. Good night.